Previously on Drone Wars.
We are the or one of the world leaders in high performance jet aircraft. We need to have 10 or 15 guys making drones, not 2 or 3. Great question. No one leaves Kratos. Literally 24 months, white piece of paper to a successful hypersonic glide vehicle flight for $13 million. These fiber optic powered drones, they're impressive, and we better be paying attention to this as a country. Very low cost, fiber optic the size of a fly fishing line. Can't jam it, 40-pound warhead. How do you stop it? So I'm hoping we're taking note of that and some other things, especially as it relates to the Taiwan Strait. Good afternoon. I'm Eric DeMarco, President and CEO of Kratos Defense. And this afternoon, you're watching the podcast.
You know, I saw someone had this graph, and it showed a month ago the cost of a fiber optic drone. It's like $1,500. I think it was yesterday I saw you can buy them for $300 now. I mean, so that means they're building tons of them, right?
Yep.
And so maybe we're only seeing some of what they're building, right? That should be part of the assumption. But if we're focusing now into Taiwan, we have to assume it'll be a, very electromagnetically exciting environment. Do you think the Chinese are thinking in a way that, we're going to throw a bunch of things that have worked at Ukraine at the problem? Are they going to show us some stuff maybe that we don't know they have? Like, what do you imagine that conflict, if it occurs, could look like?
I think, as you just indicated, I think the electromagnetic environment is going to be incredibly challenging. Incredibly. And that's going to be what the Chinese think is going to be one of their ace in the holes, in my opinion. The quantities, in my opinion, they're going to be coming at us, and our allies are going to be staggering. We need to deter this, we need to have similar quantities. And we've learned some things as a country, as companies, you and I, and we've got some things up our sleeves too. And I'm hopeful that as a country, we keep those covered, because we can cause them some serious problems that they're not ready for.
So the thought is, the best defense is a good offense, and that's how we'll hedge in the short term.
Correct.
Yeah. When you look at kind of the tyranny of distance, and you guys build a ton of unmanned systems, does it change any of the engineering requirements? Or, we're going thousands of miles in some cases, right? How do you think about that as opposed to like looking at something in CENTCOM or EUCOM?
Yep. So unclass, of course, the Valkyrie's unrefueled range, Kratos Valkyrie drone, is over 3,000 miles unrefueled. Don't need an aerial tanker. Again, last week, something came out that all the runways are going to be, U.S. and ally runways will be neutralized. The Valkyries, it can be launched off a runway, but it's also rail launched. Put it in a shipping container, open it up, off it goes.
We love shipping containers here.
Yeah, we love shipping containers. I know you do. So the tyranny of distance issue has been addressed with existing products that are flying today. Okay. A Valkyrie can carry multiple Firestorm drones.
There you go.
Yeah. We've deployed drones before. We could carry a lot of them. So you could have a drone go 2,000 miles. release dozens of drones. Multiply those drones, they're releasing those by 100, and now you have thousands. This is a very serious problem for the adversary. And it's low cost on a relative scale.
Right.
And I'm hopeful this is how we're thinking.
Yeah. Have a lot of mass in the air. Have the more exquisite stuff stand off, and then let them spend their exquisite stuff knocking down the cheap stuff.
Yep. And the cheap stuff, as you and I know, will have stuff on it that they have to respect every one of them.
Exactly.
They've got to respect it.
Even if there isn't anything on it, they will respect it.
Yep. But as I know, you know, we have some goodies that are going to be in them that they got to respect them or they're going to lose some ships.
Totally. Where do you think the future of like autonomy in, I mean, you guys have tried a variety of systems on your birds, right?
Yeah.
Where do you think this goes in the next couple years? I mean, are we going to see fully autonomous, like human on the loop flights, no human in the loop? Like, you know, maybe there's some stuff you can and cannot say.
Right. I think, okay, I know we could have, as a country, fully autonomous systems go now. But from a policy standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure the West is ready for that yet.
Mm-hmm.
My tummy tells me that our adversaries don't care.
Yep. You can swear on the podcast if you want.
Okay, that they don't give a shit. And they've already made that decision. Again, we will follow the policy of the United States of America, but we need to be cognizant of what our adversaries are doing.
Yeah.
And make decisions accordingly.
I had a very interesting off-the-record conversation a week or two ago with some folks, UN, European, all folks who are trying to think about what does policy look like for using AI on a battlefield. And I'll tell you the most surprising to me part of the conversation. They completely agreed with what you said, right? No matter what rule or regulation or guide rail we try and put in place, we have to have the off button to take it off because we know our adversaries will not have the same moral issues with using AI to kill humans. I mean, and maybe that's a symptom of watching Ukrainian videos now for a couple years of just how these systems are being treated like bullets, right? But I was actually shocked, if I'm being honest, because usually the Europeans are the ones who, you know, try and like keep enforced to the guidelines. But maybe this is now an existential threat for the West.
Yeah, I don't know, but I am personally confident that the new administration will do the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's my personal opinion.
Yeah. So we've talked about needing a lot of like, let's call it, you know, manufacturing companies. Do we need more autonomy companies too?
Okay. In my opinion, from my perspective,
yeah,
what we have that are relevant to autonomy companies, there are plenty of autonomy companies.
Mm-hmm.
And as you indicated a minute ago, because we're a merchant supplier of jet fighter aircraft,
yeah,
and no one else is,
yeah,
we have the opportunity, if we want to have autonomy companies, AI companies, missionize our aircraft with their systems.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can see what's out there and what's good and what's not, and what's relevant and what's not. In my opinion, there are more than enough autonomy companies. I'm not shooting shade at anybody, but there's just a lot of them right now.
Right. Is there eventually a race to the bottom on that technology, do you think? Do you think it becomes commoditized?
I don't know. But heretofore, any type of software, like virtually any type of software like that, does become commoditized.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be wrong on this one. And in particular, we're talking about the customers, the United States government. And the United States government, as we sit here today, because of issues with certain major programs on who owns the IP, does not want to be vendor locked. And I totally get that,
mm-hmm.
which means a commercial autonomy or AI license model will not fly with the government. So this is going to be interesting to me to see how this sorts itself out.
Yeah, how they solve it. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. There are these online kind of code bases, right? GitHub's one of them, where a lot of the folks in Eastern Europe are simply just sharing bits and pieces of code. So you have your cost keeps breaking down. I mean, we ran a test where could we build terminal guidance, right?
Yep.
Using a Raspberry Pi and some code we pulled offline, and we were able to do that as a company. And so, that's the first step towards automatic target recognition and some of these other things. But when these things are open sourced, one, it's scary for the world, but two, it just shows the power of software and how fast and nimble it can truly be.
It is. It's incredible. And a final comment on this part of it is there's a lot of publicity out there right now on new technology companies in AI and artificial intelligence and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great. We need to rebuild the industrial base. God bless it. I hope it all works. There is a ton of stuff that has been proven in the classified world by the big primes that's eye-watering good.
Mm-hmm.
That can't be discussed.
And where does it sit? On shelves, right?
I'm not. My comment is don't poo-poo Northrop or Lockheed. They're very capable, extremely capable, and a lot of the stuff that's out there, we're going to do this new and that. They did it a decade ago or more.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to put that out there. That don't lose sight of this.
Yeah. I think sometimes, especially when venture capital floods into a space like it really has in the last 2 years, right? One, you don't have folks who maybe have the context for a lot of this stuff like you have working your career in this space. And two, there's always an assumption that something new can be better than something old, right? And we may or may not have tested some of the stuff you've described, especially on the autonomous system side of things. Works very well. But it's not sexy. And it's not, matte black and has a nice design behind it, right?
That's right. You mentioned autonomy and artificial intelligence. As I opened up, building mil-spec hardware that works every time is hard. The hardware that software has to drive is hard. And I have very simple examples or analogies of things. I'll put the best AI on the planet in a P-51 Mustang, and I'll put it up against an F-35 with the Top Gun in it, and that F-35 smokes it every time because of that hardware. Mm-hmm. The hardware matters, and it's got to work every time, or lives are at risk. Mm-hmm.
Drone Wars is recorded from Firestorm's global headquarters in San Diego, California. Each episode is filmed inside our X-Cell, a modular industrial-grade manufacturing facility designed to be deployed anywhere in the world within 24 hours for on-demand drone production. Each week on the podcast, we bring you cutting-edge insights from unmanned industry leaders. Listen as they share the breakthroughs and technologies they're working on, the hard lessons they've learned, and the bold predictions about what the next 5 to 10 years in unmanned systems and advanced manufacturing have in store for us. Enjoying the show so far? Then be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Now back to the show. Let's take a step back for a second, right? You're an entrepreneur. I love to ask this question to entrepreneurs. If you could give yourself advice when you started the business 20 years ago, what would you tell younger Eric?
I'd say, younger Eric, you have no patience, you never have, and you want immediate results, immediate success. And even if you have the best product at the best price to address the most relevant requirement right now. That doesn't mean you win in the U.S. industrial system as it stands today. You need to take a deep breath that you can have the best hypersonic vehicle at the best price, the best jet drone, the best jet engine, the best all of which we have. And that doesn't mean they're going to buy it immediately. And I'm not saying that anyone's doing anything wrong, but that's the advice I'd give. Just take a deep breath, because it's taken a lot of it takes a lot of cycles on me to watch this stuff happen. And that would have been good advice to myself.
So it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And, it's interesting, like the best technology doesn't always win. We've had this discussion multiple times, but let's have you look into the future, right? What does Kratos need to do to become a $10 billion company?
Number one is don't change anything that we're doing right now. Don't get into anything new. Stay rifle focused. Okay. So that's at the high level. At the specific level, expand our hypersonic franchise into hypersonic drones. They're coming, and people are talking. I know they're talking about them. They're out there. They're VC backed. Blah blah blah. We're on the cusp of doing it. Okay. So push into that area. And again, the bugaboo on hypersonics has been expensive. Okay. What we've got going is 10 to 15 times lower than what anyone else cost-wise can do. So these are affordable. Okay. Virtually everything we've been talking about, missiles, systems, drones, they take propulsion systems. We are going to be going into production on a number of our turbojet and turbofan engines. If we stay focused here, this is going to be just an incredible franchise on its own for Kratos, being a merchant supplier of propulsion systems for the hundreds of thousands, millions of drones that are coming.
Right.
Right. So things like that, just stay focused on what we're doing. We're in a couple, 3 good areas, and just drill it.
Right. So run the marathon on those key areas.
Right.
And you'll just see the growth happen.
That's right.
Yeah. That's awesome. Let's talk a second about hypersonics, right?
Yeah.
Because we see a lot of discussion around detection and then defense about hypersonics. Mm-hmm. What's your take on that?
So I because of what we're doing, I know a lot about this, and for obvious reasons, a lot of it I can't talk about. Defending against a maneuverable hypersonic vehicle is very, very hard. The reaction time to identify it, where it's going as it's maneuvering, and it's incredibly difficult. As I mentioned a minute ago, the cost of these systems, both for us and our adversaries, has kept the quantities of these heretofore to a relative minimum. Mm-hmm. This was one of Mr. Kendall's big things on hypersonics. They're too darn expensive. I don't know if they're relevant. Well, I just told you, we've got $10 million or less hypersonic vehicles flying today. Kratos does, which means the adversaries are going to get there. And so this area is one that is going to remain a core focus area for us. Mm-hmm. It's going to remain a core focus area for the President's Iron Dome and the satellites that have got to track it, and HBTSS that's got to track it. Mm-hmm. There's a program out there that's public, a hypersonic interceptor program that's out there. Well, there are some other things out there too. And so this is an area, as I mentioned, I'm very well aware of, and we're intimately involved in.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. I think that there's been a number of VC-backed companies announcing huge fundraisers. There's also folks doing detection on the hypersonics that have announced fundraisers. So it's clearly a hot and sexy topic. But then you guys showed up and won a massive contract a couple of weeks ago, and I think maybe some of the hype has come back down to earth when they realize, again, for $13 million, you were able to go win a $1.5 billion contract. It's incredibly impressive. And it's probably because you have 20 years of engineering experience in mil-spec systems under your belt, right?
Yeah. So our team, we've been involved in hypersonics for decades. High programs, high cause, high fire, fast. These are all out there. You can go see them. Those are our solid rocket motor stacks. Okay. We just successfully flew Zeus 1 and Zeus 2 with a very high speed payload. Specifically designed to put something in the right place at the right time at the right speed for a very low cost. We have our Aranis and Dark Fury glide vehicles. So we have in Kratos the entire propulsion system and glide vehicle system all flying today. Not a product, not PowerPoint. And I don't pay a lot of attention to these PE and VC backed firms that say, okay, we're going to go build a hypersonic something. This ain't easy. And we're doing it. And I can assure you we ain't working with them.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Competition breeds excellence too. All right. So we'll kind of wind it down here with maybe one or two more questions. And the main one really I have is, what do you think the legacy of Kratos can be as a company?
I think and I hope the Kratos legacy will be, and I'll go back to we were the first manned-unmanned teaming jet flight in 2015, that we were really the first company that took hundreds of millions of our own money, not under a funded R&D project. We didn't put it in our G&A rates and get refunded that way. It eroded our profit to be first to market with viable products. Kratos was the leader in drones, engines, hypersonic vehicles, solid rocket motors that do certain things. And that we were the one that really started it. And at the end, we're the most successful one that got 10 products or systems across the line that are in massive production, that are good for the United States of America, that are protecting our warfighters, which is number one, and that is deterring China up front. That would be a great legacy for us.
That'd be a great legacy. Final question. Hardware entrepreneurship and hardware entrepreneurs, they're like, this is the new hot thing, okay? A lot of folks coming out of really good schools. I don't want to build an app. I don't want to work at Facebook. I don't want to work at Google. I want to build something tough, right? What advice do you give a young entrepreneur who wants to start themselves down a journey that has taken decades, you know?
Yeah. My advice would be to position yourself, if you can, with a product, hardware, or technology. I'll use an example. So you're not like on the B-52 bomber for 60 years. Great aircraft, that's not my point. But my point is that you're on a modular drone system. And you're the guy or the gal that's coming up with all the different modules, whether it be a kinetic module, an EW module, an ISR module, that goes into that system, into the closed loop and the outer loop. And so you're constantly evolving and growing your brain. You're also growing your money. But so you're always challenged, and you're not on one thing for your career.
Yeah.
That's because if you're happy,
yeah,
you're gonna kick butt.
When you wake up in the morning, do you even feel like you're working?
No.
I feel the same way. And I don't think if you don't understand that feeling, you cannot explain it to someone who doesn't understand it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, sir. God has done great by me and my family.
Yeah.
I'm blessed that this is Kratos, and before Kratos, Titan. It's not a job for me. It's a passion. It's a mission. And to me, it's God, family, country. God, family, country. And I get all three here, and I couldn't be more pleased.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Drone Wars podcast. Each week, we bring you fascinating conversations with leaders shaping the future of air, sea, land, and space technologies. Catch new episodes every Tuesday wherever podcasts can be found. Until then, we'll see you next time.